Here you go, darling. And you can have some fairy rocks. It's been really wonderful for the kids because they get to go outside and build and be kids, you know, that's important.
You need a big hole for the stick.
Lauren Dry values her quiet life at home in suburban Perth. She also values her family's privacy.
Is the elephant having a bath in the dirt? I want my kids to have freedom and, you know, the space to be children. It's just wonderful watching them grow up. I grew up not feeling as though there was someone watching over my shoulder.
When she heard Perth City Council was trialling facial recognition cameras, she sprung into action, writing a petition for the technology to be scrapped.
I just thought to myself, I'm like, what? What do you mean facial recognition cameras? That's sci-fi. That doesn't happen in Perth. And I looked into it and I was like, this is real. I do think that councils and governments are walking into this blind.
The council says the trial is federally funded and will assist police activities and city planning. But Lauren isn't convinced.
There's just too many questions and not enough answers.
Facial recognition technology uses artificial intelligence to identify individuals and is already part of our everyday lives, from tagging photos on Facebook to verifying our identities at airport immigration. But the use of real-time facial recognition technology in public CCTV cameras has proved controversial in cities around the world, drawing comparisons to China's surveillance and social credit system.
We are living in a surveillance state, not unlike China. It's just that our repercussions are different in the Western world. But I think we're actually following down the same path.
Dr. Katina Michael is a global expert on privacy and facial recognition, and she's concerned about how rapidly the technology is being deployed, often without notifying the public.
Allegedly, these technologies are being placed in our society to make us more secure, safer and more efficient. But in actual fact, we have no idea where the information is being held.
Attempts by the federal government to create a facial recognition database were rejected by a parliamentary committee late last year because of concerns about privacy and human rights. Cybersecurity expert FERGUS HANSON says the technology can be a useful tool for stopping identity fraud and other police activities, but it needs to be well regulated.
Facial recognition does have some legitimate uses for law enforcement, but I think we need to think carefully about the extent that they can be exploited, and the slippery slope that we can end up on where really minor offences get picked up and we start to chip away at the democratic freedoms that we take for granted.
Police in all states confirmed to 7:30 they use facial recognition to compare images in their databases. But Queensland and Western Australia are the only states we know that have used facial recognition on live CCTV camera feeds. Police in New South Wales said they're exploring the technology.
Meanwhile, scrutiny of its use by police in the US has seen IBM, Microsoft and Amazon all pull the plug on facial recognition in the past week, calling for greater regulation. Dr. Katina Michael says it's time Australia considers its position.
Before the horse bolts, what I want to see in Australia is a debate that considers the pluses and minuses, the benefits and costs of having a society that's constantly surveilled.
For Sydney entrepreneur Rustam Kanga, that horse has bolted.
Here on the scene you have a crowd, and it's an uncontrolled environment where people aren't necessarily looking at the camera, and we are recognizing everyone who's there. We've got customers in, well, all the main countries in the US and Europe, in the Middle East, in Asia, Australia and so on.
Are you in talks at the moment with the Australian government about using your facial recognition technology here?
Yes, we are talking to various groups in Australia for that.
But he was reluctant to say exactly where his technology is being tested.
I sense that they're a bit cautious and they're concerned about how society will view their use of the technology.
So is
and
that
I think they have not
councils or
addressed.
police that are doing? Is that councils or police that are doing trials?
Both.
So which local councils and police areas are trialling your facial recognition technology right now?
Again, I think I don't want to talk about specific customers here. With this sort of system, you can actually preempt an event. You can prevent an incident from happening.
Back in Perth, Lauren worries the use of facial recognition cameras is part of a quiet move towards more surveillance in her community.
There's just too much secrecy and too much of a push forward without the discussion in place, particularly when they're my children, they matter.
Hi, I'm Lee Sales. Thanks for watching this story. If you'd like to watch more of 730's stories, they are on the left of your screen. And tap on the button below to subscribe and get the latest from ABC News.